Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Wargame, where today I have a 2v2 for you. The map is sometimes used as a 10v10, but definitely works as a 2v2, although it is more work. You're gonna have more units. Now, some of you have been clamoring in the comments going, please do more 2v2 or smaller games than 10v10s for fuck's sake. To answer to that, for fuck's sake, if you want me to do any better games, send me better material. Because I work with what I'm given. I don't play the game much at all. If I play it an hour a week, that is considered quite a bit for me. So, if you guys want me to do smaller replays, better replays, stuff other than 10v10s, send it in. And I will happily look at it and consider it for a video. And to tie into the I only play an hour a week, I've also been getting questions, hey, how do I get into a game with you? Sheer luck. That is all I can say. I have no set playtimes. I have no schedule for when I'm online. I have no schedule for when I'm recording this stuff. Most of the time it's recording replays anyway. So your chances of actually getting into a game with me are really, really slim. One exception is the Patreon program. Once a month I organize a Patreon night in which, during which evening I play with my patrons of the major rank. So if that is something that you're interested in and you absolutely, positively want to play with me, then the Patreon project is probably your best bet. Now, on to today's main event. We're following DaGeneral 420. He's going up against another 2v2 team. His teammate is Drunken High. Let's hope he is neither at the moment, because he needs to be playing a serious game. They're going up against Schvax, or Schvax, I don't even know what to call that, and Semper Fi, at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. This guy definitely has quite a bit of experience in Wargame. Now he's going left. He's going to take, I believe, an Anzac armor deck, but I'm not 100% on that. He did mention it in the description, I think it's an Anzac armor deck. Look at that, Challenger 2, Challenger 1 Mark III, both elite. ADATs for fire support, Scimitar for spotting, AA infantry, transports with standard infantry, Pensgauer with further recon, and a double team of ATGM in units. Now his teammate is going to be covering the right flank, so we're probably going to be seeing a few more infantry units from him. And you can see he's going in with the YP408s, the 762-25s. It is not quite a pure Dutch deck, which is also given away, of course, by the Gepard over there, the Flak Panzer Gepard. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these are packed with the Dutch Corps Mariniers. If you want to take over that area, the Corps Mariniers are your best bet, but I'm not seeing the veterancy that goes with that. Now everybody's just milling about at the start of the game, awaiting their orders. I gotta give credit to Steel Division. This is still something where Steel Division does it better. Steel Division allows you to give orders before the game starts. So in the deployment phase, you can already say units go here, there, and then unload. You can even queue the orders there. So that is something that I would still really like to be implemented in Wargame Brendryen, but since they're not actively developing the game, I am not holding my breath. He's going to take the left, and since this is Conquest, Golf and Bravo are usually keystone zones. You need these sectors. If you don't have them, or if you don't neutralize them, then the enemy is going to be capturing them and taking points. At the moment, they have a few more, because they already captured Hotel just a moment before. They captured Charlie, so they already got a brief +2, but 12 points lead is not much. First enemy encountered, a Hera 2 helicopter, Recon bird. Probably there to just spot whatever is coming this way. And hopefully trying to counter that early, or at least draw in some more forces that can counter that. In the meanwhile, the left area is also seeing a lot of transports. Sorry about that. We're seeing the XA-185 KTs already getting destroyed by the ATGMs. Interestingly, not from the ATGM infantry, but from the ADATs. The ADATs is a very lethal platform, ground range 2800, 25 AP. So transports and tanks alike should be fairing that thing. and it has plenty of open terrain to dash around and do damage, and at the same time also dash back into cover when required. Now he came in with a Hornet. I more or less missed that, but unfortunately the Hornet went down. The Challenger 2 and 1 Mark III are both lit up, and just as they go concealed, the Seria 2, or the Seria 30, enters range and does not get evac'd, takes a couple of missiles and goes down. ADATS is already down to 2 out of 8 missiles, and since this is in combination with the AA infantry here, the RBS 70, the few AA that he has, well, let's hope that the enemy doesn't send in more helicopters or more planes. Infantry skirmishing on the left. Fusilier 90 versus Yekri 90. The Fusilier 90 are good infantry units, especially that Law 80 can really pull a number on armored vehicles. The problem is that the enemy has a few more units in fire support. We've got a very brave M113 and a 432 trying to support with the machine guns, but they just don't have the firepower. Not against these things. The ITPSV Su-57-2, 2 HE per shot, and with a blistering rate of fire, the infantry and their transports go down. So while he does have a little bit of a foothold in Gulf, the other area is pretty much wide open. The Molans are now taking aim and hitting the T-72. Range at 2450 is not great, and this is always why I'm a bit hesitant to go with the Milan 2, but for him it seems to be working. So long as these guys don't get spotted, don't get rained on by mortars, they should be able to at least deny the enemy a bit more maneuvering range down here in the middle. Over on the right, we got the Grenadiers, we have the Stoottroepen, surprisingly no elite infantry, or not yet potentially. Because of course everybody is bringing in more forces, but these guys are going to go with standard infantry. A couple of stalwarts being spawned in, probably to resupply the ADATs and potentially resupply some more manpower for the Milans. Bushranger comes in. Interesting bird, this one. It has those heat rockets, but survivability wise, over here in this operating area, it didn't really stand a chance. Not with the Romb over there and a couple of other potential AA units down that line. ATGM coming in from this building. Challenger 2 takes a hit, but Challenger 2 can take hits. That's what it was designed to do. And at 23 points of armor, well, it's going to be taking hits for quite a while before it actually goes down. Milan's still in a really good spot. Do damage and in fact destroy the transport. Or at least I think it was a transport that's down there. But more is on the way. 2 Modernas. Lethal to both infantry and vehicles alike, and operating in tandem, these guys can be very problematic. They are currently facing off against the Leopard 2A5, although the 2A5 I think has not quite yet made its presence known, so the 2A4 took the brunt of the damage. It survived, but only just. The Challenger 2 was not really in a position to assist, so for the moment these guys have free rein at the Fusiliers that were poking out of the tree line there, and they immediately got killed off. Now, zooming out, we also have a little bit of activity on the left. We got Green Jacks to spot Milan and RBS 70 in case they try a flank. And over here, we got a YP 408 and another one in case there is something going on this flank. It's not perfect cover on each end, but you cannot really see everything. It's going to act as a picket line / early warning system. And hopefully, they won't need it. Now, the Fusiliers are once again trying to get a little bit more cover from the tree line and once again are getting killed off by quite a few units in there. Not the heaviest units of sorts, but definitely powerful enough to be killing off infantry. So what we'd ideally need over here is a tank or further fire support, and this Warrior Milan is definitely a good start. 6 frontal armor, which I still think is really good on an APC, or an IFV rather. My one beef with the Warrior is that cannon cannot fire on the move. It has to be sitting still. And when it's sitting still, you get good accuracy out of it. But when it's moving, I want my infantry to push up. I want my Warriors to keep pushing up and do damage at the same time. And they just cannot do that. In fact, this one won't be doing much of anything anymore, as it just got taken out by a T-72. which is happily strolling across the field. Right into the open arms of the ADATS, which is still there and still securing the area. ADATS has been rearmed and is capable of taking down more targets. But at the moment, the targets that are needing of taking down are more infantry, which is pretty much the one thing that the ADATS doesn't do much against. Well, that's not strictly true. The ADATS can kill infantry if it hits a transport hard enough. If it does that, then you have a chance of actually killing the transport and the infantry inside. So, yes, I suppose that the ADATS can kill infantry, tanks, helicopters and planes, making it one of the more diverse units in the game. More versatile. Now, Red is definitely trying to make a move here. Fusiliers are being pushed back by Recon infantry. There's a couple more transports on the way. This is a terrible time for the Challenger to get its firing computer reset, because now it's down to 8% accuracy, 6% accuracy, and there goes the Challenger. That's the Challenger 2 down, leaving him with the 1 Mark III, which is definitely not a terrible tank. It has a lot of armor and a decent gun. It's lacking a little bit on rate of fire, but overall it's enough to keep the infantry at range, and hopefully giving him enough time to buy another unit. Now, these Recon units are in fact paying off, because we do have a potential Special Forces incursion here. The YP-408 is trying to kill them off, and is doing a good job. Killed off one squad. Second squad is going down quick, and they need to go down, because if they don't, then this thing is going to get one shot by that Appalast launcher. So fortunately, that flank failed, but that could have been a severe problem. Now, they captured another sector, and that's because Foxtrot still has not been captured by Blue 4. So Red is gaining a little bit of points, but nothing too severe. And interestingly, the Sea Harrier scores 2 kills on the enemy's AA system. The Jaguar tries to go in, unfortunately does not get anything to shoot at, and just veers off harmlessly. The other Jaguar does get something to shoot at, drops its missiles and evacs. So it seems like Red 4's AA net has taken a bit of a hit. The big question is, what do they have left? And how well can they exploit it? Looks like we got another Mi-8 coming in. Could be just a logistics helicopter, but I kind of doubt it. Unless it's going to go there and resupply the infantry in here. But I would pretty much prefer to do that with a truck. We do have another unit moving into position. Potentially a sniper team, just moonwalking their way there. And we got a Super Gleb, who takes out... was that a Gepard? That was a Gepard. Unfortunately, the Gepard never got a chance to return fire. Oh, my bad, it's not an Mi-8, it's an Mi-17. Definitely not a logistics bird, just a pure killer. And it does have something to kill, namely the YPR-765. Doesn't need much. Damn, that was fast. Immediately goes down. Now, Drunken High has a pretty good position here with all of his infantry, and in fact has made it up on this little lip here. The challenge is to stay up here and not get pushed back down. Interestingly, they have also captured Bravo, but have lost Golf. So, Red is sitting at 76 points, but at least nobody is gaining or losing points. A couple of T-55s come out of the woodworks, killing off a Leopard reconnaissance tank. The Leopard 1A5s get their revenge, but I think they only killed 1, not 2. Here's 1 dead tank. And now the Mi-17 is coming back out. A couple of rocket pods on these things won't really do that much damage, but might, in fact, panic them. And I think that that is what panicked these guys. Here comes another Super Gleb, takes out one of the Leopard 1A5s. What do we have here? Looks like a transport. I'm going to pop the unit viewer open. That's usually a little easier. That was another dead one. And there's the T-72 that we saw before. Actually, no, that was not the T-72 we saw before, because that was killed by the ADATS. Where is my unit viewer? The unit viewer apparently doesn't work in replays. Okay. Yeah, sure, I've only done about 800 to 1,000 plus replays of Wargame. Never figured this out. But then again, I never use it. I always zoom in quickly. During live gameplays, I think it does work. And it does work rather well, but over here it's just nope. Couple of kills there, at the expense of quite a bit of the armor of the Challenger 1 Mark III. So this thing will have to go back to the stalwarts and get repaired. They have plenty of supplies left. And the ADATS has also been resupplied and could have quite a few targets up here. I'm not really sure why this guy is sending in a couple of, well, wannabe gunships. Because let's face it, an autocannon and a set of rocket pods does not a gunship make. It's a bit of a weird contraption, and the ADATS was having... Or actually, I don't think it was the ADATS. I think it was the RBS-70s that were not having any of it. 4 missiles gone, 4 helicopters dead. Another Super Caleb flies in. Does damage to the 2A4. 2A5 still perfectly fine. And note how he's making use of these smoke grenades from the mortars in order to keep these things safe. There goes one Super Caleb. Another one... took heavy damage, so won't be back for a while. I think he's trying to push this tree line here with the 2A5 and the 2A4 in order to get information and potentially find the command vehicle, push it out, and then take over the sector. Because they do have a bit of a ground presence, but Fusiliers in this position don't really do much other than deny the enemy the opportunity to push in. He's being aided by the Grenadiers and a couple of transports. What do we have here? I'm thinking those are M60s. No, it's a sniper team. And 2 Recon tanks. This is awfully close for the Leopard 2A5. But the 2A5 and the 2A4 work together, taking out the tanks, leaving just the Recon infantry, which is now not only having to deal with the tanks and the infantry, but also with the transport. Another airstrike. Jaguar flies in, gets the kill. Sea Harrier does potentially also get a kill because he lost 2 of his seed missiles. So another hit to the AA net. And he's trying to sneak up with a bit of green jackets on the left to get more information, but the T-55s have seen that. Or are being fed information by somebody else. So unfortunately the green jackets are having a bit of a tough time crossing that field. But their line of sight is now being blocked by this tree line. Moderna is falling back. I just saw one Moderna. Did the other one already get killed off, I wonder? Leopard 2A5 still trying to get a line of sight on whatever's happening here, while at the same time being smoked up in order to be kept alive. At this point though, he only has 10 rounds left on that mortar, so he's going to have to resupply it, but fortunately he has a fresh one over here. So there should be further smoke in the future. The transport killed, and what do we have here? A Pinsgauer got killed, I think by the T-55. Now the thing that I'm kind of waiting for is for Red 4 to send in a sneaky command vehicle over here and neutralize Blue's control of Foxtrot. Blue, in the meanwhile, has wrestled control of Gulf, or at least neutralized it, by sending in a command tank. So now they are getting a couple of points, but it's going to take a while before they actually catch up to Red 4. They have a pretty distinct lack of reconnaissance here. So they're doing force recon by just sending transports forward, and actually getting kills as well. And I think they took quite a bit of the meat out of Red 4 here. But we're not quite done yet. That recon team that we saw previous is still out there. They're taking shots at these guys with an RPG-75. Surprisingly, missing time and time again. And there you go. The YPR finally had enough and kills it off. Now a couple of mortar, if that's mortar. No, that's an AS-90 which has taken a couple of shots at where that T-55 was last seen. And maybe just pushing out of position. I don't really expect there to be a kill here. But my expectation is quite wrong, because there is in fact a dead T-55 there. Now, more infantry in the way. This time around, the infantry, the Fusiliers, are pushing forward, firing their LMGs on the move. And not just running into these, but also another group of Jägeri. And what do we have here? That's another tank, which is also joining the fray now. ATGMs are coming in from these buildings, so they still have those ATGMs. I think they were just saving them for more interesting targets, and since their command vehicle, yep, there it is now at grave risk, the ATGMs are now also joining the fight. Now these should be killed off pretty quick, but they're not the prime target. The command tank is. This tank has 14 frontal armor, and this thing, the infantry, has 22 points of AP. But it is not required, as a Jaguar flies in and kills off the command tank. With both of these sectors captured, Blue now has a +1. And I think that's because they lost full control of Bravo. Because they were at a +1 a moment ago. Another couple of wannabe gunships. This time around, they have something far easier to kill in the form of the Fusiliers, and apparently they're still being fed information about where the Fusiliers are. The Fusiliers can do nothing but just stand there and take it, or rather lie down there and take it. T-72S comes out and immediately gets greeted by ATGMs, this time around from Milans from Drunken High. I think the Milans from General or DaGeneral 420 have been killed off. It's interesting how long this tank is actually taking missile fire. Come on. No, lost line of sight. They got 4 missiles left, so if this thing comes out to play again, they can try. Moderna comes out. The Fusiliers take one last shot at it, and I think they don't actually hit it, because it did not take any, or it almost took no damage there. At this point they're smoking up these buildings, trying to make sure that the enemy ATGMs have no line of sight on all the juicy targets that are out here. The command tank is probably too deep in tree line cover, but the Leopard 2A5 is actually playing a rather dangerous game at not even full hit points and a lower amount of fuel. So hopefully this thing is not going to get subjected to reconnaissance and subsequent attacks. If it is, I don't think it will survive that. Now, time for the General to make a move. We got a Challenger 2, or sorry, a Challenger 1 Mark II, a 1 Mark III, and a Max is pushing up. And infantry to boot. So these guys are pushing up. And they already got a couple of kills here, and they are now encountering... Oh, look at that. Interesting, there was the CV. Had Red pushed that in, Blue would have stopped gaining points, but they got it. What they don't really have is good anti-air. So it's just the RPS 70 that's going to have to pull their weight and get killed off very quickly. The Nexus is dead. The Challenger 1 Mark III is taking quite a bit of fire, but so are the Fusiliers and the 1 Mark II, which had its stabilization knocked out, meaning it can still fire, and it can fire accurately, but only when sitting still. If this thing starts moving, you're going to see severe accuracy penalties. Stormer rushing in. Unfortunately, Stormers, like most of the British units, don't really come with a stabilizer. So I think he had ordered this unit, it was coming in, and then he thought, oh crap, I still have that. And he told it to go on attack move. There's the Moderna we've seen previous. Moderna versus a 1 Mark III. That was not just the Moderna. There's a second Moderna out there. Semper Fi is not letting go of this sector this easily. I think he's once again smoking up his own tanks. I didn't quite see where those rounds came in from. YP-408 is never going to survive against 2 Modernas. And unfortunately, they don't really have much that can kill them. Sure enough, the Milans could put some pressure on them, but they'd have to relocate. And they are not exactly the fastest infantry in the game at 15 kilometers per hour. And, oh, we have, I think, another Recon. Yep, there's another Recon unit being dropped off there. They have the Milans, they have the RBS, but they just lost their Recon on this sector. So we could, at some point, see that Recon group cross this bridge and take up position here. In which case they will probably get detected pretty quick, because it's a main supply line, and anything that drives by will probably see them. But it's still a possibility for Red to get more ahead, or a more advanced warning of what Blue exactly is bringing in. I did see an explosion there. That was just another helo. Without good reconnaissance, other than the Gazelle, there's the Moderna. I was going to say we can't see the Moderna. There's the smoke again. Putting up more smoke screen, covering the retreat, I think, of the Moderna. Is this the second one? I think that might be the second one. There were two operating here. And Red is trying to dislodge the command vehicle and all other supporting vehicles from this area. But a command tank is going to take more than a couple of mortar rounds to get taken down. It's not just one tank though at the moment, because we also have the 2A5, another 2A5 and a 2A4. Unfortunately, most are panicked or otherwise not very combat effective. At least they're there. So it's going to take the enemy quite a while to actually push them out. Another Challenger 1 Mark III pushes in, takes a big hit from the M84AN, gets killed off. Once again, the Fusiliers don't quite make it to that tree line. Challenger 1 Mark III ready to fight. This thing has more rate of fire, worse armor. It has only 15, but it punches for 19. So at maximum range, the Challenger 1 Mark III is probably going to not get hurt from that tank. But it's not the only one. Because this might be another Moderna. No, it's a T-72 M1 mod. Which is also a very dangerous tank. And once again, the area is almost devastated. There's nothing left. Sure, there's a bit of AA. They have a little bit of recon and some more infantry coming in. But once again, nobody really has control of this tree line, it seems. Now, what I haven't been covering for the last couple of minutes is the right flank. And I'm quite surprised at how far Drunken High is able to get here. His Stoottroepen Grenadiers are pushing forward and finding a command tank, which was probably inside this sector. Now these guys have an AT-4, which does 19 damage. The Grenadiers, they're Dutch, have an M72A4, which is going to do pretty shitty damage, if it hits. That's to be considered. So the only thing that could reliably kill these guys is probably the Stoottroepen over here. Now it seems like they have Red on the back foot quite a bit. They have a +2. They are leading in points. Red, however, still has 15 minutes left to make something happen. Once again, the Fusiliers are trying to get across. And unlike all the other units, like the tanks, which are usually getting smoke support, these guys are just being told, get out and walk. And time again, they're getting killed off. If these guys would actually make it to that tree line, they could put a bit more pressure from there onto that tank. Because those low 80s are no joke. Now, a Pinsgauer is detecting the Recon infantry, which is giving their position away. And unfortunately, the warriors were not quite there to help. Because I think that this bush over here is keeping the line of sight from actually being good enough to take shots there. Now the warriors have their Milan F2s ready. But the T-72S outranges them with an ATGM. And moreover, we need to get recon. Stoottroepen and Grenadiers are still pushing forward. Although at this point there's very little left. So this attack is probably going to die out pretty quick. There goes the last of the Fusiliers. Yeah, that sphere. If they take that sphere and fire at the warrior Milans, they're going to have a bad day. They also have that Stormer, but it is not nearly as effective as the ADATs at taking down targets such as tanks. This thing has 12 AP, whereas this one has 25. Then again, you're paying quite a bit less for the Stormer. Still, most players don't like it when they see ATGMs coming for their tanks. So most of the time, if you see a Stormer or if you see an ATGM coming in, doesn't really matter what, the enemy will shoot them. And in fact, here goes the tanks. Here goes that group. BMP-1KT for recon. A couple of more wannabe gunships. And the Dutch are pushing again. This time around with a big smoke screen. Still under the offensive of Red 4 artillery. The command tank has still taken quite a bit of damage, but so far is alive. And the same can be said for all the other high value targets. Stoottroepen pushing forward. Grenadiers pushing forward. Again, so little tree line cover, and their AA consists of the RBS 70s, and once again the infantry is very much being threatened by these wannabe gunships. The Mi-2 URN. I really fear for the security of that infantry. I don't think it's gonna live for very long. Milan team takes out a Recon, and the second Recon gets taken out by the Stormer. Nice work. Stormer can also take aim at the Mi-2s, takes one out before getting taken out by an T-72S missile. 3 missiles fly out from the Warriors. 3 missiles miss the T-72 M1 mod. And at this point the Warriors are being pulled back, at which point they lose their stability and the Milans can no longer fire. RBS 70s taking out another helicopter over there. There goes another one. Now, they don't really have much to be challenging these guys. There is another fire team waiting here in the form of Challenger 1, 1-1, 1-3 and Challenger 2. Sea Harrier securing the airspace, that is against AA ground threats. And I think the GR1 might have gotten a kill there. So I am seeing a dead tank here, but it's getting quite hard to figure out when exactly this kill was made. I gotta say, it still looks really good for a game like this. So there, that's gonna be the thumbnail of the video, which at this point you've already seen, which is a bit weird time-wise. Anyway, Super Galeb comes in, takes a shot, and I think kills a Leopard 2A4 because it's suddenly no longer here. Red is pushing back, this time in Bravo. And in Bravo, they have a command vehicle, so they're still having a +1. That's from Gulf. Their position in Gulf is not great. Reconnaissance is not that good, so Red could be sneaking in a command vehicle and they probably wouldn't know. It does seem, though, that Red 4 is a little more busy with bringing in more infantry. BVP M80A comes in with pretty good infantry, considering their high veterancy rank. There it is. There's the infantry. Proletary. Did that come out of that? Out of that? Okay, my bad. Yeah, I think that one of those infantry groups came out of there, but questionable. Unfortunately, the Milan team seem to be in trouble. They fired one too many missiles from this direction and are now being hit by ATGM or by mortar fire. Moderna in position, takes a couple of shots, but both Milan here and the other Milans over there are missing their shots. Once again, it survives. Over here we got the Challenger 2 and the 1-3 engaging with a couple of other tanks. The Challengers are showing that they can take a hit and give it back, but there is still a bit more firepower inbound. These are not a priority, just there for fire support, but very little else. Come on, get a shot. There you go. He's down. There is still one wounded tank at least that's limping away. And it seems like Red has in fact brought in a command unit. And Gulf is no longer under blue for control. Moreover, they take out the command tank. And now they're up, well, point blank range against 2 Leopard 2A5s. The M84 AN dies, but the Moderna is still there. Takes a big chunk out of the 2A5. 2A5 returns the favor, but misses, thanks to a damaged fire computer, and the Moderna takes out one of the 2A5s. The second one, still there, but panicked. And is unfortunately unable to get the killing blow on that tank. So now once again Red has a +1. These guys are still out in the open. One ATGM plane and it's all over. There goes another FE-432. If he dashes out, he might get the Moderna alone. Otherwise, he's going to be getting quite a bit of infantry that he has to contend with. So more Dutch infantry is being sent forward. I hope that they can deal with whatever comes out of these transports. Unload now. There we go. Stoottroepen survived, but only one squad. And They killed the Challenger 2, but that was over there. Yeah, it seemed like they did get an airplane to take out the Challenger 2. 35 Yikari 90 come out, and they take out the second and probably last Leopard 2A5 that Drunken High has. Or had, rather. So it's time for the German forces to come in a couple of Marder 2s, which have a good bit of armor, and the infantry is definitely heavily armed. But we still have that monstrous anti-infantry tank over there. And I don't think it went down. No, that's a transport. There it is. Still very much alive and kicking. F-16 MLU flies out. Not really sure what he was trying to kill, but the Hornets might come in and take out the infantry. Potentially stunning the Moderna there. There you go, that's almost all the infantry down. The Panzer Grenadiers can very easily mop up the survivors, and if they can now push out, they might catch that thing. They might be able to take out the command, or the Moderna. I was looking at the command here, which is being shot at. That had me a little distracted. No, the Moderna is not waiting around to see what comes out of those transports. And is in full retreat. Once again, being smoked up. Very nice play there from Semper Fi. Just keeping those things alive. Now, 6 minutes, 50 seconds left on this game. Red has a +1. Blue has an income lead. I don't really know if Red's going to be capable of catching up to Blue. Or if they need to do something else over here, for example. To neutralize this sector and take it over for themselves. But neutralizing all the Blue 4 infantry over here is going to be quite the effort. And if they actually start to do that, then we might see a Blue 4 airshow just swoop in and start to do a load of damage to them. So for the moment, I think that this area is actually quite safe. Once again, the Sea Harrier gets a kill, and the Jaguar flies in with it and also gets the kill. Now, important here is that these aircraft don't quite have the same speed. So you really have to time it well. The Harrier has to get a bit more of a lead before you send in the Jaguar GR1. Because this one is going to catch up to that Sea Harrier very quickly. So call on Sea Harrier first, and he just does that every time, and he does it really well. Now, another set of artillery landing on what they think might be the enemy command position. Fortunately, they were actually already on point, and since they didn't get a target, they were probably thinking, okay, well, maybe it's not there. Maybe it's more off to the side. Maybe it's a command tank. Maybe it's 2 command units. You never quite know. Until you get good infantry. Anyway. It seems like Red is still determined to get control of this sector. Because Blue just brought in another command tank and it is back in position. But the defense of it is being held by 3 Panzer Grenadiers and 1 Leopard 2A4. Smokescreens being thrown up. I think from Red, considering the orientation, allowing their forces to come in easier. OTM-60 PBs, not quite dangerous with their M60A. Or at least that's what I thought, up until the point where I actually started taking hits from it and found out that those things are in fact really quite lethal. Especially when tandeming with the infantry. The 2A4 is dead. The Panzer Grenadiers are dead, and now they have, once again, the Leopard 2 on the run. That gives Red their sector back. It's 256 versus 140 for Red 4. Blue is desperately trying to send in more infantry. A Marder, a couple of Warrior Milans. But Red has cover, and some of these transports can't fire. Warriors on the move. So they're being dropped off, immediately taking aim at a reconnaissance tank, getting 1 hit before they start to take hits themselves and lose their accuracy. Fusiliers are trying at this range to do damage against the other infantry. Airstrike, I think it was an airstrike comes in, but the Sea Harrier FA2 just died. And actually Blue was able to push here. Interesting. Red threw so much of their weight around on this sector that it seems that the defense of Bravo was not quite good enough. And I think that this pretty much concludes the battle for Red. This is the point where they are going to lose it. It's not so much that they probably don't have a defense over here. They still might very well have a good defense over there. But the game is going to be up in 3 minutes. And 3 minutes is just not enough time to get that much lead. Red temporarily shifted their command in Gulf. Not really sure why. There it is. Who is getting eyes on that? The Green Jackets? Or the AMX? Because that was a really long range spot. And sure enough, it's a command tank, it's a big target, and it's not sitting in cover. The big question is, does Blue still have any active HGM planes? And I think the last one just went down. Of course, they can still punish this thing with artillery. It might not kill it, but it might convince Red 4 to just move it out of range. Red 4, though, is a little busy trying to scramble helicopters in order to push the Dutch back, which are doing a massive incursion over here in Alpha. And even the command tank is firing, but is also leaving, which puts Blue at a +2. Stoottroepen, wide out in the open, caught up by the Hera 2s, and, once again, the Moderna. This thing has seen some action. The guy Vencel, or Venchel, or however you're supposed to pronounce that, he's been pretty much all over the battlefield. We saw him do a lot of dangerous operations here in Gulf. I wouldn't be surprised if he was also engaged here in Foxtrot, or the edge of it. And now he's all the way over here. Once again, he's not quite healthy, he's taken some damage. But he was where he needed to be at the right time. So, Semper Fi definitely doing a really good job managing his tanks. Oh, it's the wrong tank that I lit up. Vencel is actually at full health. Now, they have control here. Blue is no longer gaining points, but with just 80 seconds left, I don't think that they're going to be doing much of anything. I do wonder, though, why do we keep seeing an F-16? It's like he thinks he has an F-16 MLU, which is capable of taking out transports, tanks, and the such with their HGMs. But he's using a fighter. I'm not sure if he's mistaken with the wrong unit, or just trying to provoke enemy air combat. I'm not really sure, but at the moment, it's no longer really a concern because it just went down. Now, Bravo is wide open. Charlie is wide open. Gulf has nothing in it except a couple of Corps Mariniers at this point. We got a Challenger 1-3 and an ADATS trying to push on the left flank. Red now once again has a +1. I gotta give credit to Red 4. These guys are not letting up. Despite the fact that they're not going to win this, they haven't surrendered. And I think that really shows character. Missile flies into the Gamma, takes out one, takes out the other. Just don't mess with an ADATS because these things are so damn dangerous. Especially against air threats. More infantry being brought in, but at this point it doesn't really matter if they survive or not. Because it's time. So, that was a major victory for Blue 4. DaGeneral scoring 5,270 points, losing 3,255. I think most of his... Well, it's hard to say, really, where most of his kills came from. Drunken High was feeding a little bit. And yes, you can argue it's not as much of a problem in Ranked. Or sorry, not in Ranked, in Conquest. Because overall, you can lose more units and the kill/loss ratio doesn't matter that much. But still, he was feeding quite a bit. So I was going to say it's not that easy to tell from where this guy got most of his kills. But I think maybe from Schwax over here. Anyway, let's do a quick look at the kill list. The Challenger 2, the early one, actually got a couple of kills on transports. But that's about it. Sure, transports, some reconnaissance units, but nothing really tank-like. The ADATs, holy shit, you did work. See, they actually killed infantry. Transports, an airplane, another plane, tanks, helos, another L-19. Why not? Challenger 1-3, bit of damage against transports, recons, tanks. Look at this Sea Harrier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ROMs, 2 OSA AKMs, and an Mi-17, which was either too close to one of these things when they got hit, or maybe a flyby kill. So it actually got one of its short-range air-to-air missiles off. One of the Jaguars got a kill on one of the Modernas. AS-90 got a little bit of supporting fire in. Then again, artillery doesn't always get the kill. It's usually there to weaken forces so that other units can get the kill. This guy did work. Yeatman. T-72 M1K, T-72 M1 Mod, VHOR, and an M84AN. That's a really nice score that you racked up there. And I think that from there it gets less and less impressive. Yeah, just a couple more tanks here and there. These are all those AA guns / fire support units. And the Hornet. Oh, right. I was thinking, hold on, this is a Hornet? Why am I not seeing AGGM kills? It's a bomber Hornet. It comes with a couple of, I think, 500 kilogram bombs. So, good game. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And once again, to reiterate what I said at the start, if you have any good replays like this, send them in. Doesn't matter even if you lost, because even if you lost, it can still be a really, really good game to cover. So, link down below in the description. And of course, if you want to play with me, join my Patreon night for November. You can do that by becoming a Patreon. Link down below in the description. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend, and I'll catch you guys soon for more Wargame.